Did you know that more than 3/4 of the homeowners in the United States who purchased a home, let's just say within the past year or two or so, has regretted their decision? Honestly, that's all including the fact that many individuals who are interested in purchasing a home, they don't understand all the costs that come with purchasing a home. I get that purchasing a home is extremely exciting, especially if it's your first one. But we can't forget about the other common pitfalls, the daunting things that do come along with it, especially if you are not prepared. That's why this video here is extremely crucial for you guys to understand the common pitfalls, not only so you can avoid it, but how is it that you can overcome it as well. But as you guys can tell, I'm getting rained on right now. My whole plan is going to the trash. So let's go ahead and go to my recording space so that we can get you guys the top 10 common mistakes most home buyers are making, so you don't make the same exact mistake, but also so that you know how to overcome them.
Mistake number 1, skipping the mortgage pre-approval. Please just don't skip this process at all. It's important for you to not skip this process because this is going to give you an idea of how much is the bank willing to lend you. How much is your budget even incorporated into that? Is this a market that you can even purchase a home in, a home that you want to move into? A lot of times I see individuals, they start looking before getting a pre-approval, and then one or two things happen. They can't find the home, they miss out on the home, or everything they looked at exceeded their budget. So it's like, they're kind of stuck between, where do they really go now? So that's why it's important to get that. Don't skip that mortgage pre-approval, because that's going to give you a clear understanding of how much you can afford, what's your budget looking like, and is there a home in that market that can't even fulfill what your needs are. But also, you cannot forget, this is going to make you an even more of attractive buyer towards the seller. When you have that mortgage pre-approval already in place, they know you're about business. Mistake number 2, not budgeting for expenses. So of course, purchasing a home, especially if you have a pre-approval in place, you're going to have a mortgage. However, the part that I'm referring to is your homeowner's insurance, property taxes, home maintenance, home repairs. Those are some of the things that does kind of get put on the back burner, and most individuals don't really budget for that. So that's something to really look out for. I mean, one thing I like to do, and I help a lot of clients do this as well, is if you're purchasing a home, please just at least have a home warranty for the first year or two. I personally would say 3 years, because you're essentially picking up the seller's issues that may come with it. At least now you have some protection in regards to that, so you don't have to take on the burden of some massive repair coming your way. At least you have some sort of help that may come along the way if they do cover those things. So definitely a home warranty could be something to really look into. Mistake number 3, not considering future needs and resale value. So if you don't know, real estate generally over time does exceed in value, which helps a lot of individuals purchase larger homes after that because they've made money on their purchase. However, don't put yourself in a position where, again, location is everything. So don't put yourself in a position where, real estate sales aren't really going to do that for you. Also, on the other end, if you're going to leave any home prior to 5 years, you're really going to hurt yourself in that profiting aspect. So I personally would say at least recommend staying in that home for the first 5 years or so that you can possibly profit something to take that to the next purchase. But maybe you don't want to sell at all. Does your property have the potential to rent it out? There's so many different strategies we can discuss on today's video, but one thing I really want you guys to understand with this mistake that many individuals don't do, which is think about the future. Think about what is the potential that you can use that property that you do acquire for. Mistake number 4, so not doing a first-time homebuyer consultation and signing paperwork without fully understanding it. I'm not expecting you guys to read the fine print and go over each line by line, but really understand the entire scope of what it is that you're signing and what you're getting yourself into, because I've had countless occasions where individuals will be like, hey, Ronnie, I really want to work with you. And I ask them, hey, are you working? Did you sign any paperwork with anybody else? And they say, yeah, I did. All right, well, that's where our conversation stops, because I can't really help you. You've already have an agreement with someone else. And so this is not even just in real estate, just everything in general. Understand what it is that you are signing. As far as the first-time homebuyers counsel that, I recommend everyone going through as a first-time homebuyer, that will give you an understanding of exactly how does the process work within that state that you're operating in. Understanding what you must do to secure financing, understanding the real estate law in that state, how you are going to find that home that becomes your potential home, and what must you do to make a good offer so that you can get your offer accepted. The goal of the first-time homebuyer consultation, if you're not able to pick up, is to really understand step by step what must it take for you to go from point A to point B so that you can then accomplish your goals within real estate. Mistake number 5, receiving one mortgage quote. Honestly, all the time I see it where you'll either, and that's fine, right? It's not a big issue, but it's I don't think it's a bad thing as well to understand what other options are out there for you. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I believe I read something like 25% of the people who are purchasing a home only receive one mortgage quote, which at that point in time, if you do not know what you're looking at, what to experience, what's the norm in that market, or even what mortgage lenders typically charge, how are you going to understand if what you have in front of you is good or bad? And so I share all this to say is because that exact same thing happened to me. I received one quote and I was like, okay, that's great. Received another one. I was like, whoa, what is going on here? And I received another one and I could understand exactly what was going on here. But because I'm in the business, I understood immediately. The second one, I was just like, no, this is a no-go. I'm not understanding what is even getting charged here. Why are closing costs this much? So where's the money really going? So these are the kind of questions that I would highly recommend you guys ask yourself or even ask the lender so to better understand you. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have to close on that property and bring that cash to the table to be able to move in. So I personally would say receiving more than one isn't a horrible thing, but it is definitely going to be helpful to help you understand exactly what your options are and what is going to be the best for your situation. Now this one here, I don't know how anybody does it. It's like buying something just blindly, which is mistake number 6, skipping a home inspection. If you're doing this to make your offer look more attractive, great, but I still would recommend, hey, you might want to get one as soon as you finish purchasing the home, because if there is something that comes up under the water, like a hidden damage or something, you're going to want to take care of it as quickly as possible. I mean, who's buying anything without understanding exactly what's going on, the bolts and the screws, everything that's going on there? So I personally don't say skip out on this. I do see it, and typically those individuals that do skip it, they have a rude awakening coming upon them, and it's just a matter of time before they really get frustrated and regret not doing it. Because at the same time, just getting an inspection can actually help you get a better price at the same time. So pick your own poison. You can either make a really good offer of removing the inspection, or you can keep it in there and maybe find some sort of defects later that you can then bring to the seller and negotiate that. Mistake number 7, overlooking first-time homebuyer programs. Most states are going to have this. So I understand if you don't understand the process to get to point A to point B of purchasing a home, that's perfectly fine. But just pose the question to whoever it is that you're speaking to. What programs does that state have to help first-time homebuyers? Because you'll be shocked that you'll find out a lot of states have closing cost assistance, down payment assistance. Typically it's down payment, which then trickles into closing costs. But you'll find that a lot of these states have these programs already set up for you to purchase and be successful within real estate in that state specifically. And if you're curious at this point, well, how much are closing costs? I'm going to discuss that later in the video, so be sure to stick around. Mistake number 8. Not understanding the importance of a credit score. So if you have a good credit score, you're going to typically have a better down payment, and you're also going to have a better mortgage rate. Whereas if you have a bad credit score, you're going to have a larger down payment, and you're going to have typically a worse mortgage rate. And so if we go really take things a step further, the first 15 years of a mortgage payment is generally going towards interest. So those individuals who don't have the best of the best credit scores or position themselves, you're going to be behind the 8 ball essentially in terms of just building out that wealth, because you're going to be paying more interest than the person who has a good credit score. And your credit score is one of the things that that is needed to qualify for a home mortgage. So you're still going to want to work on it, in my personal opinion. And if you do need more assistance on that, just reach out to me. I have a preferred lender, and they actually have a credit specialist that you can go ahead and speak to and get additional information on what can you do to even improve that score. As we start to wound up the video, here we have mistake number 9, which is trying to buy your first home as your dream home, or better yet, only focusing on the aesthetics. While the appearance is extremely important, it's not the only thing that a home has. You're still going to want to look at the area that you're in. You're going to want to look at, of course, the schools. You're going to want to look at to see what's nearby. Is there any amenities or things that you can participate in? How are your neighbors? And what is even your commute time to wherever it is that you desire to do, or the things that you have to do? This is exactly why I've created an entire channel. Now, if you're moving to Raleigh, North Carolina, this is helpful for you. But this is exactly why I've created a channel where you can then see what is really going on in the community. Can you even get a feel of the community through the videos and understand what's really going on here? And then if you feel as if these videos are enticing and I really must go check it out, then I always encourage individuals to see for themselves. But this puts you ahead of the 8 ball, right? To be able to see and feel what exactly is going on in a specific area without having to travel to it. The last mistake of today, number 10, which is not considering closing costs. Now, you may know there's several ways you can go about minimizing your closing costs, whether it's using a down payment assistance that then trickles into your closing costs, getting the seller to help you out with your closing costs. But I like to look at it as, hey, this is my cost. This is worst case scenario. This is how much I'm going to need, which is generally 2 to 5% of the purchase price is what's going to be accounted for just your closing costs. So on top of all the other expenses that come along with the home purchase, just know that this is an amount that you'll need towards the end of the entire transaction to be able to get those keys, walk in through those doors and start doing what you got to do with your home. But because you stayed to this point, I got an extra one for you. Mistake number 11. Not understanding the real estate law at the local level. And so what I mean by that, every state has a way of operating in real estate. Give you an example here in North Carolina, instead of having one deposit that we have on a contract, we have 2 deposits that is extremely important in acquiring or even being able to inspect that home. And honestly, one of those deposits are not even refundable, right? So these are the sort of things that kind of trip people up when they're obviously trying to purchase in North Carolina for the very first time and hearing this is how the real estate law operates at this local level. So understand that, have that dialogue in that home buyers consultation that I mentioned earlier in this video, so better understand exactly what must be done for you to acquire any single home in that market that you're looking into. And I know I didn't cover all of the reasons, so if you have a specific experience or something that you heard of, please drop it in the comments below to let everyone else be aware of what it is that they can do to avoid or even watch out for. Because just as much as I enjoy making these videos for you guys, my name is Roney Polynice and I am licensed realtor in North Carolina. And would love nothing more the ability and the opportunity to help you with any of your real estate needs. So let's set up a Zoom consultation, or even if you see that number that is popping up right there, reach out to me, phone, call, text, email, day or night, heck, maybe even on the weekends. Always remember one thing, I got your back in this market.